Morning, everyone. This is Michelle Wald, and this class is called Stand Up to Gravity. Today, we're going to be working on the knees. Knees, please. I get a lot of requests for knee problems and such, but did you know what the knees feel? I mean, definitely there's some things that can go wrong in the knees, but the knees really like to feel aligned with the hip, knee, and ankle. So if you can get these three joints all working together, then knee pain is not an issue so much. The other thing about knees is they like flexibility. So they should be able to bend pretty readily and not only forward, but bending back. So that quad stretch where you reach back and hold your hold your foot, or you can even put it on a stool or something. We're going to be working on that flexibility today and the strength of the hamstrings compared to the quads. So many times our we have imbalances front to back, and that could be a contributing factor. So hip flexibility, making sure that the hip has nice extension can make the knees feel more at home, as well as ankle flexibility. So we're going to be hitting these places as well. So making sure that your ankles are nice and flexible, your hip has good extension behind you, and the strength of the pushing down the knees actually like. So there's one other culprit to knee pain, which is the knee caps. Sometimes when when there's the alignment's not optimal, the kneecaps get a little cranky because they don't have enough mobility. So the mobility of the kneecaps are often something that we want to address, but you need to be gentle around those guys because they're kind of funny and finicky. So let's get started. Today, you'll need mostly your body weight. Okay, let's start in the chair as usual. If you have a hand towel, go ahead and fold it and sit in the chair. Let's start by just taking a nice deep breath and getting settled here. Find your center, find your breath. Take a breath in and exhale. Turn your head side to side, ear to shoulder. See what your shoulders are feeling like. You can either grab behind or in front of your knee and hug it up just to see what that's like. Move your feet around just to get a sense of where we're starting. And now I'd like you to find your breath again. We're going to move into arcing. So hand on the chest and belly. Inhale around the belly and exhale. Let the pelvis rock back and let your chest fall. Exhale. Exhale all the air out. Lean forward, push off your feet, push off your seat and your hands lengthening up. Make sure your shoulders are reaching down on your ribs. Look up to the ceiling, in the corner of the ceiling, and settle. Inhale again, round. Let your chin nod. Push off your feet and your seat and inhale and settle. Find that place that's neutral and even front to back. Inhale, let your pelvis round. Let your knees knock together a little bit. Exhale. Some more, if more air can go out. Letting all that stale air out. Lean forward just a little bit. Inhale. As your pelvis rocks forward, it's going to kind of push your knees outward. Inhale. settle. Find this easy middle place. All right, a couple more like that. Inhale, exhale. Let your knees gently knock together. You'll feel the weight on the inside of your feet. Nod your chin. Inhale. Let your knees come out as you rock your pelvis forward and looking up, and settle. So, having this freedom, your thighs need to be clear of the chair. So, sitting on the edge of the chair, I'm not sure I said that. So, I'm going to have you put your hands on hip hinge here, right at the crease, and then just draw your hands down towards the knees. Stop above the kneecap. Inhale and exhale, press forward, lean. Inhale. You put both hands on one leg and lean forward with the hip hinge and just draw the skin forward. Oftentimes we get tight in the hip, so loosening the thigh muscles can really be a great way to loosen up the knees. So other side, get a purchase right at the hip crease and lean and press forward and over the edge of the knee. So not on the kneecap, but on the sides of the knee. Bring your heels of your hands up by the hip crease, and we're just going to lean and push on the hip crease down the thighs by leaning side to side. You're getting this motion to improve your mobility and get some nice circulation. And then you're going to put both hands on one side and then draw up by the belly. So you're just going to draw from across the hip joint up towards the belly. And the other side. You can do one hand and then the other hand. This is clearing some lymphatics. So another thing that happen to knees is swelling of the knees. So we want to be able to improve the ability for that fluid to get back into circulation. All right, let's go down to the lower leg. So nice and long, and then hinge. Let your hands do an opposition here. So reaching down with one and up with the other one from your ankle across the knee, all the way up the thigh, and then across the hip joint. Nice and long, hinge over the other leg. Reach down, whatever you can reach. And one hand goes up, one hand goes down. You can kind of hug around the leg, up on the sides of the knees, up the thigh, and then across the front of the hip joint. This helps the return of the circulation. All right, so go ahead and let's pump the ankles a little bit. So you're going to point the toes and drop them down, point and drop the heels. See if you can spread the toes when your heels are dropped. Point the toes and then spread them out. Point and spread. As we do this, you'll find that you will have improved circulation as well because of the muscle pump. The muscle pump returns the fluid from the lymphatic system, from the periphery, back towards your heart. All right. So now you're going to reach one heel out, straightening the leg. You're going to work this quad muscle. You might feel a stretch behind the knee and stretch the other leg. You could spread the toes wide, and that kind of helps to get the toes working. The toes are so important in our balance. So making sure that the tootsies are working here. Stretch through the heel. And you want to really get a strong contraction right in the thigh. If you can't go that high to straighten your leg, go ahead and put your heel on the floor. Make sure you're on the edge of your seat and then straighten your leg low. We'll work into a nice hamstring stretch in a little bit. Okay. Or you can lift it up. All right. So now we're going to work into some marching. So when you're marching, go ahead and put your hands on your pelvis and see if you can keep that pelvis upright. So a lot of times when we lift our leg, we roll back. But if as much as you can, keep nice and tall, pressing into the sit bones to raise one leg and the other. If you go a little side to side, that's fine, but you don't want to tip too far. A lot of times this is because of tightness or weakness. So keep in the center. You can go a little bit side to side. So when you push off on one foot, it helps the other one raise up. So push down with the foot that's down to lift up. Push down, lift up. It makes it easier. All right. And now kind of bring them out, out, in. We're warming up the hips, getting some circulation going, getting some movement going. Okay, now start with the other one first. So whichever one you started with, we're going to do the other one. All right. And you should feel like your breathing is increased a little bit. If you go faster, you're going to breathe faster too, and you're going to get some dexterity. So see if you can get fast. You can hold onto the chair if you feel like you need support. Pause. Start with the other one first. Out, out, in, out, in, out, out. And while I'm doing this, I'm really trying to keep my knees aligned with my feet. But this is non-weight bearing, so it's not going to matter as much. Okay, good. All right, so this time I'm going to have you find your hip hinge and lean back and forward. So see how my back is staying pretty straight? So let your hands slide forward to the knees and let them rest. Push off the feet to come back, lean back a little bit, tighten your tummy muscles. You'll feel the stomach muscles. If you're nice and long, you'll feel your stomach muscles holding you up. Hinge forward, hands on the knees. You can give a little pressure to the kneecaps and let your chin nod. Push off your feet to come up, lean back, feel the abs working, and come to center. Again, hinge forward, let your hands slide forward, and relax a little bit. Right here, just let gravity have just the top of your head. And feel the nod. Push off your feet to lift up and nod. So what I want you to resist is really dropping your head forward. It's more like just the top of your head forward. Push off your feet to come up. Now we're going to do a little bit of rotation. So you're going to rotate by pushing off a one foot, and that's going to rotate you one way. And let go of the push, you'll come to center, push off the other foot, reaching your arms and let go. Push and let go. Push and let go. And if you're nice and stacked up, you'll find this little oscillation. It's subtle, but when I let go, I'm getting a little bit of massage in my spine, just a little bit of circulation here. Push, turn, look with your eyes, let go. Push, turn, look with your eyes, how far can you see? And let go. Inhale and let go. Good. So as you feel more warmed up, your body's going to have a better time, right? As we loosen up. So the reason I wanted that back lean is if you grab your thigh behind your leg And you're just going to keep your arms straight and lean back. So the shoulders are down. Check that out. And your hands are behind the thigh. And you're going to pull one side and then the other, pretty small. And that's going to rock your thigh in and out. And your foot is going to respond. So see how that is. And then work your hands up the back of your thigh to release the hamstring. And now back up towards the knee. Back to up the thigh and back to the knee. Hang out. Lean back. Look up. And put it down. So let's release the back of the other thigh. So go ahead and grab the back of your thigh towards your knee, not at the knee joint, but you'll feel the tendons of the muscles behind there, the hamstring muscles. So as you lean back, just that pressure alone could be a nice stretch. And if you want to change positions, come out of it and then find another spot. Shoulders are drawing down, leaning back. So there's a couple of options. And now let's do the rocking. This is called a rocket in the socket. So in sitting, you could pull one side, and if you're relaxed enough, so basically this back lean, I'm going to show you the side view. So you get your leg, shoulders down, lean, and then pull one arm and then the other arm, which rocks the leg. So it's rolling the thigh in the socket and releasing the hamstring muscles, which on many people are a little tight. Okay. So now, if you have a little stool, that will work, or you could just put your foot on the floor. So here's my little stool. And if you put your leg up on it, should be lower than the seat of your chair. You can do little circles. Might get a little closer. So find your kneecap, which is, front of your knee, and you'll notice a little sesame seed shaped bone. Well, it's kind of a big sesame seed. All right. And if you just take your fingers around that bone and do a little self care, massaging that bone around the bone, the edges, and take the skin and move it around, your thigh might move a little bit. And then you'll if you relax your leg, you'll be able to move your kneecap by pushing it side to side, tipping it top to bottom, and it should move pretty freely. And if it doesn't, then this is a great thing to practice. So put that other leg up, find your kneecap, see how much it moves. Now move it around side to side, up and down. Some people feel it's a little funny feeling, and it is because it's unusual, right? Anything that's unusual. So we're just playing with our kneecap and giving a little, like mini kitty fingers. You know how cats sort of knead? That's the kind of motion around the knee joint that the knee often enjoys. And it'll help loosen it up and go around the other way. Underneath the knee down here, there's the tendon of your quadriceps. That's a pretty strong tendon. Some people have a little tightness there. So you're just going to scoop the skin and move the skin around the kneecap. And then you can kind of move the kneecap again, side to side, up and down, and tilt it. So you're pushing down and up here. These motions will help get a sense of ease in the knee. All right, so go ahead and you can massage the back of the thigh again because those hamstrings get jealous. All right. So now go ahead and there's 3 versions of a hamstring stretch, and we'll start with the easiest version, which is simply straightening, sitting on the edge of the chair, straightening your knee, and sitting up tall. So many people, especially if you bring your foot back and really straighten the knee, lean forward, you'll feel a hamstring stretch. And that might be plenty for you. Many people, the biggest mistake I see is people bending their back to reach, which gives actually slack to the hamstring, and you're stretching your back, not as much your hamstring. So if you're nice and tall and then hinge forward, you're really getting this hamstring to lengthen. And it's really important to lengthen in this way because this can make a big difference in like if you have back pain at all. This is, people say, I need to stretch my hamstring, and they're really just stretching their back. So nice and tall, hip hinge to really get the hamstring working. So let's try the other one. Stick the other leg out nice and tall. You can put your hands on your hip creases, lean forward, make sure the other leg is nice and supporting you, and you're stretching forward. Keep those toes coming up. And what that'll do is it'll give you a nice stretch. All right, so let's switch it up. Other side, nice and tall, hinge forward. And I'm going to have you push into the heel to come up. And then hinge forward. And this is so it's more of a sequencing thing. So it's not bad to round your back with the hamstring stretch, but you don't want to start there. So you want to start with a straight back as far as you can go to feel the stretch and then round the back. What that'll do is improve the position of the spine. You'll see that this position actually puts the tension right in the back of my hamstrings. Push off the heel and the other foot to come up. And let's hinge again. This time, you're going to lean slightly to the outside, not very far because I don't want you to fall over. You can hold onto the chair. You're leaning slightly to the outside, which is going to stretch the outside hamstring. Push off the heel to come up. Now you're going to lean slightly to the inside. And you can round at the end if you like. Push off the heel, push off the other foot to come up. Switch. Here's this leg. And let me show you the front view for this one. So I'm really supporting myself with my seat and this other leg while the leg that we're stretching is over to the one side. So you want to sort of aim your body over that leg, hinge till you feel the full stretch and then bend. Push off the heels to come up. And then you're going to come a little towards the inside, bending at the end, push into the floor to come up. And what that'll do is it'll get the inside and outside of the hamstring. So moving on, we're going to do a little activation before the next stretch. So we're building the intensity. So you can go back to any one of these that feels good to you. So make sure that you listen to your body. All right. Listen to your body. Okay, so this time we're going to drag our heel, put your foot out front, straighten that leg, and you're going to bend that knee and drag the heel, drag the foot all the way under the chair. So you get to determine how much resistance. So, start by just bending the knee. That might be enough. If you could do a little bit more, you're going to push down with the heel as you're bending. So the floor is giving you some resistance. And if you feel cramping, you might need to decrease the resistance and you can rock it in the socket in between just to relax it a little bit. And then go ahead and try it again. So as you're pulling, your trunk is staying pretty steady here. Your abdominals are engaged. You can press off the chair, brace on the chair to really feel the hamstrings warming up. So just like we did for the stretch, if you point your toes out just a little bit and pull, Again, no pain, no pain. So just go just a tiny little bit and then pull. That's going to work your outer hamstring. Do a few there. And now toes straight up and pull there. Again, my knee is not going anywhere strange. It's more like a hip position. Let's do about 3, 4, or 5. I think that might be 5. You should feel your hamstrings working. And now roll your whole thigh in. So it's not just the knee, it's the whole thigh and the toes matching that. So it's not a lot. And then pull in there. And that works the inner hamstring. So inner hamstring, you should feel it towards the inside. 4 and 5. Okay. Shake it out. You can kind of massage the back of that hamstring again if you want, like this one. Oh, that feels good. And now let's do the other side. So let's just do some straight ones. We're going to get quite a bit of hamstring work today. The hamstrings are probably one of the most important muscles for the knee besides the quads, but most people have pretty good quad activity, but not so much the hamstrings. Try to facilitate those. So really pull. And now rest for a moment. You can rock it in the socket to loosen it up. And now point your toes slightly out. Notice it's not a lot. And then pull with the heel. See if you can feel the outside of your foot in contact with the floor. Not a lot, not an ankle turn, but just a little tilt. And what that'll do is it'll work this outer hamstring and strengthen it up. Okay, now straight ahead. So look down at your foot and make sure everything is in a line here. That's one of the biggest mistakes is that we don't get our knees in alignment when we're moving. Okay, now roll the whole thigh in. You can just take your hands on your thigh and roll it in a little bit, just whatever that is. You notice my toes are in just a little bit. And so you're pulling with that inner part of your foot. A couple more. And the hamstrings are worked. So give it a little massage. The reason I'm alternating these work and stretch and work and stretch is that sometimes the muscles work stretch better when you're a little warmed up. So we're not doing super intense stretches. So if you have a stretch band like this or a towel, that's the next version. Many people do this on their back. So if you want to try that laying down, try this laying down later, that's fine. You kind of need a longer strip depending on how flexible your hamstrings are. So you're going to, again, find your balance on the other foot. Put the band right at the bottom of your foot, and you're going to start by pressing your heel and your into the band with your knee straight. All right. And then you're going to keep your spine straight and lift up. So the arms are bending. The core is working. So you can use a towel in the same way. You probably need a longer towel, like a bath towel. So you're grabbing each end over your foot, and you're really, you can lean back a little bit as you lift the leg. You can bend it, reach into the heel, lift the leg. Straighten the leg and then lift it up and down. You can let it bend if you need a rest. Stretch that leg straight, lean back, bend your arms to lift the leg. And wherever you stop, you stop. It could be right here, but really try to straighten the knee as best you can. And then you will be stretching your hamstring. This is the other thing that happens. We tend to round when we lift our leg. So try to stay up tall and it turns into a core exercise. So we're always looking for those core exercises, right? All right, other side. Put the band across your foot. If you don't have one of these stretch bands, literally I've seen them at CVS, Target, anywhere, any store. You can get them online on Amazon. Stretch that knee straight. You know, just do a few of those just to get a sense of that. Reach to your heel, then lift your leg up with the arms. And you can, to assist the arms, you can lean back a little bit. You'll feel a nice stretch behind the leg, all down here. You will likely feel a calf stretch too. Remember how it's all attached? So bring it down, straighten the leg, lift, lean back. Come on up. Make sure your pelvis is nice and tall. Stretch, lift, lean back. And bring it on down. Okay. So now let's get into the knee bending. So remember we did the sliding back. You'll slide your foot back under the chair just to where your heel starts to come up. So you heel down, heel down, heel down. Right about there is where my heel starts to come up. And I'm going to have you raise and lower the heel in that position. And we're going to do a little faster at first, and then you're going to pause, leaning on your knee to push that heel down. So that's getting both the ankle and the knee to stretch a little bit. If you have tight knees, this will certainly be helpful. So stretch that heel down, and now raise and lower the heel. If you got your heel all the way down, you can bring it back a little further. So if you're here and your heel is up, work it here until your heel is down. And then you can slide it a little bit forward so that you get both the knee stretch and the ankle stretch and a little bit of strengthening here. Again, it's not meant to be super hard. So let's do the other one. Slide your heel back just to where it starts to come off the floor and up and down with the heel. And really try to get your heel to the floor, wherever that is. And if you want to slide it back a little bit further, and then pause, press on your knee to get that heel down. You'll feel an ankle stretch. You might feel a little stretch in your knee. Leaning. This side is supporting you. Nice and tall, so we're not rounded. Try to keep as tall as you can. And leaning. Okay, shake it out. Oh, shake it out. Shake it out. Okay, so let's work on our sit to stand. So you're going to hinge forward, push off your feet, right? And for extra fun, if you slap your thighs and then lift off and pause halfway and lower down, that little slap actually kind of facilitates those muscles. So I like, if you don't like 1 foot forward, that's fine. You can have them even if you like. And you also want to feel like you're using that hip hinge motion. If you round and try to get up, it's much harder. Whereas if you get your pelvis going forward in that hip hinge lean that we practice, you have access to a lot more power in your legs. And lower down. Switch feet. Slap and lift. Pause. Slap and lift. Pause. Lower slowly. If you're plopping into the chair, this is a great one to practice every day until you can be graceful and lower and lift yourself up from the chair and down with ease. So that's the goal, right? No plopping. Okay, so here we go all the way up. Bring your feet together and lower and sit. One of the ways, like if you're having, like if you feel like you do plop in the chair, one of the things to do is like do the arm brace maneuver. So you're going to send your hips back, put your hands right on the hip crease, send your hips back. And if you press, it creates this little triangle, like it's a brace, right? And you can lower down, slide your hands down. See how I'm lowering down? And there I am. Okay? So, same thing on the way up. As you lean forward, I like the foot a little forward so it doesn't make you feel like you're pitching too far. So, forward and then press. Press on your thighs. Like this is like the in between, right? When you're not quite strong enough, or if you have some weakness for one reason or another. So when you're going to sit down and it's lower than you think, you know how all the couches are so low, and many chairs are too. So put your hands on your thighs, feel the chair behind you, send your hips back, brace with your arms, and you can walk your hands down until you're sitting down. So that's a great way to sort of build strength and give yourself a little extra support as you need. Okay, so hinge forward, press, lift all the way up to standing. So you'll need the back of your chair. And we're going to start by reaching one leg back and then switching to the other leg back. One leg back, straighten that knee as much as you can. So you're going to press that knee straight, keep the heel up and your weight forward. Reach it back, straighten that knee. All the weight's on that front foot, but you're really stretching that other leg back. If you push down on the chair, it'll help keep you secure. Reach and stretch. We're stretching the back of the knee and we're stretching the front of the hip here. A few more. You'll also notice some gluteus action. So if you don't, put your hand right there and like feel that muscle work. Stretch through the back of the knee, the heel is up. All right, so now you're going to lower the heel, bending the front knee. The weight is more in between. You might feel a nice stretch in the calf back here. If you don't, you might need a bigger step. You might want to find that your alignment, there's some space in between your feet. Not only length, but a little width. You don't want to start in a line because it's much harder to balance here. So take that foot. So you're on railroad tracks. Take a look down at this front knee. And you're going to bend it until you barely see the toes. So nice and tall, and then look down. You should just see your big toe. And if your knee is to the inside or the outside, back off and aim it over your toes. This is the important thing about the alignment, the hip, knee, foot alignment. And some people, like me, kick this hip out. So you're going to put your hand on that hip crease and reach it down towards the floor. And then look and make sure your toes and your pelvis are all in a line. Good. Come back and forth, drop the hip, and reach the knee forward. So again, if your toes disappear, back up a little bit. If you don't feel a stretch, bring the back foot back or step the forward foot forward a little bit. So you have a stretch, but you are working on the alignment, the pelvis, where the knee is aiming, and the foot. Okay. Lean forward over that front foot, push down to bring your feet together. Let's switch. Balance over one side, reach that leg back, put the toes down, and keep your front knee bent. So again, first things first, drop this hip. Look down and make sure your knee is pointed over your toes. And then bend your knee forward just a little, but not past your toes. Push off the feet to come back. Push off the back foot to come forward. Push off the front foot to come back. And so we're coming in and out of the stretch, working on knee tracking. So knee tracking is something that we often don't know about, and it starts here at the hip. So if your hip is kind of out to the side, you need to drop it down and then work on the knee and foot tracking. That took me a while to get, so don't worry, but just do your best to try to get the hip and then look at the knee, look at the foot, and then work on bending and straightening it. The back leg will get some work too, a little stretch in the front of the hip and in the back of the calf. This is a good one. Lean forward, push down to bring your feet together. All right. So reach that leg back. And now we're going to, you know how I'm saying don't tuck? Well, we're going to tuck. So most of your weight is on the front foot. Your leg is back. The heel is up. And now go ahead and tuck the pelvis under so that you feel, I'm going to switch legs. So the heel is up and you're going to tuck the pelvis under so you feel a stretch in the front of the thigh, front of the hip. And you can pat yourself there. Just give yourself a little pat on the thigh, kind of around the side, and see if that can let go. If you don't feel a stretch, a little bit wider stance and go lower. So you're lowering your knee down, but it's straight down here. And what that does is it stretches the thigh in a way that we don't usually get. So the front knee, you want to make sure that you can still see the big toe. See how my knee is not going way over there? So it's more here. Okay, and this is some leg work too. So lean forward to push off and switch. Reach the leg back. The heel is up. Bend the knee. So that might be a toe stretch for you. So you have to kind of be mindful of what you can do there. And then lower the body down. You'll feel a nice stretch in the thigh. Go ahead and pat the thigh so you get some circulation, get that muscles to let go a little bit. And then come up and down, up and down, straightening both legs and bending that back one down. This is a great hip stretch and thigh stretch. And then lean forward, come on together. All right, here we go. This last hamstring work is going to be reaching back with one leg like we did, and then bending the knee. So the knees are together. So you want to squeeze the knees together and then bend the leg, bend the knee, like you're kicking yourself in the rear. And anytime you need a break, go ahead and take a break. And transfer your weight to the other side. Knees together, bend the knee. So the standing leg is pretty quiet here. Everything's pretty quiet. So as you bend the knee, you're going to have a sensation in the back of the thigh there. That's your hamstrings. And we're going to do a bunch and shake it out. So now, to loosen things up again, here's this lunge position. Not a deep lunge. The toe is down, and you're going to straighten the knee, and then you may have, it may be more comfortable to flip the toe under, or it may be fine to just kind of roll over the toe. So you're going to straighten the knee and then relax it. Straighten the knee and relax it. So what this is doing is keeping the upper body pretty still and letting the knee go. Okay, this is actually important in walking. Letting the knee relax. And just take a moment. Straighten, relax. Let it go. Straighten, relax. Okay, now you're going to bring your foot out to the side and you're going to let it kind of relax in. So the inner ankle might have to let go a little bit. So depending on your knee, you're going to let the knee do a little circle and let your ankle sort of match the circle. So it's kind of like a pendulum, and then circle the other way. So again, there's no weight on this leg, and you're just allowing for a little circular motion of the ankle, and the knee is following. So if your knee doesn't like that, just stick with the knee drop. Okay? So, but it's not a huge knee motion. The knee does have a circular motion to it, but it's not very much. And if you don't have any, then it then it might not be as comfortable. So let that leg relax. Shake out the standing leg because the standing leg is working like crazy with that. So draw the opposite knee back. If you want to switch sides of your chair, that's fine. You're going to straighten and let it drop. So it looks like from the back, straighten, 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 let it drop. And it takes some practice to get this one, honestly. Now bring the leg just out just a few more inches, and you're going to kind of drop the knee forward and circle it round. The standing leg is working, and you're really aligned over the standing leg. The circling knee is just relaxing, and it's a little difficult to relax, so you might have to work at it. Circle around the other way. Standing leg is working. And if you need to take a break at any time, please do and come back to it. Okay, shake out, shake out. All right, so one last hamstring stretch is you could do any of the other ones that we did, or you could put your foot up on a chair. Okay, so this is where people make a mistake is that they do this. So I want you to stand as tall as you can, drop the hip, and that might be a sufficient hamstring stretch. If you flex and point your toes, you'll notice there's a hamstring stretch, pressure on, pressure off. So we're really stretching the fascia all the way up. Okay? So as you move your foot, that might be enough. If you're more flexible, you're going to make sure the chair is steady, soften that standing leg, and you're going to just lean forward a little bit and flex your foot. And that might be sufficient to feel a stretch. I feel a stretch right here. Okay. Hold on. Switch legs. Nice and tall. That could be plenty. Drop the hip a little bit. Hinge forward. Oh, I feel it there. Flex and point the toe. So this gets the mobility happening all the way through the leg. You get to work on your standing leg. You're working on your balance. So please be safe. And then slide that foot off to the floor. Shake it out. And give yourself a pat on the back for the knee exercise class. So I hope that you got some mobility in your knees and learned something about stretching your hamstrings. This is a great way to keep the knees healthy, working on alignment and flexibility, and of course, some strengthening. All those together are going to give you some healthy knees. So I'm Michelle Wald. This is Stand Up to Gravity. Tell your friends to join us here on Fridays.